when I looked at this, the 5e minus, this is 5 electrons. I was evaluating the charge and I had a positive 7 here and a positive 2 on the right, so I needed 5 electrons to make them the same. So I now have a negative 6 plus 8 is a plus 6 on this side, a plus 2 on this side and a plus 2 on this side. Electrons are always negative, and it's the only thing we have to work with, so you add the electrons to the more positive side. The more positive side may not be positively charged. It might be neutral, and it might even be negative, but it's less negative than the other side, or more positive. Okay, now let's look at the next one, the sulfur half. Start off on inspection for sulfur. 1 sulfur, 1 sulfur. 3 oxygens and 4 oxygens. So I add water to the side that needs oxygen. So water plus H2SO3 yields SO4 2-. Now when I look at my hydrogens, I have 4 hydrogens on the left and no hydrogens on the right. So I add 4 hydrogen ions to the right-hand side. So water plus sulfurous acid yields sulfate plus 4 hydrogen ions. Now I should have mass balance, so I'm going to evaluate my charge. 2 neutral species on the left, so I have 0 charge here. A negative 2 and a positive 4 gives me a positive 2 on the right. So the difference is 2 electrons, so I'm going to add 2 electrons to the right-hand side. So I have water plus sulfurous acid yields sulfate plus 4 hydrogen ions plus 2 electrons. And again, you go back and check, make sure your half reaction is really balanced. Now, the next step is to make the number of electrons in each half reaction the same. We do this by multiplying. It's sort of a least common denominator thing. I have 5 here and 2 here, so the smallest number is to go to 10. So 2 times 5 is 10. And 5 times 2 is 10. So I'm going to multiply these 2 half reactions by the appropriate number to get the number of electrons the same. So I'll multiply this one first. So I get 10 electrons plus 16 hydrogen ions plus 2 permanganate yields 2 manganese plus 8 waters. Now I'll do the same thing for the other equation, multiplying by 5. 5 waters plus 5 sulfurous acid yields 5 sulfates plus 20 hydrogen ions plus 10 electrons. Now I add them together and then I'm going to cancel out what appears on either side. So I have 10 electrons plus 16 hydrogen ions plus 2 permanganate plus 5 waters plus 5 sulfurous acid. I'm adding together the reactants from both half reactions. Now I add in the products. 2 manganese plus 8 waters plus 5 sulfates plus 20 hydrogens plus 10 electrons. So you can see that as you're writing and rewriting, there's a lot of places to mess this up, right? You can really screw things up if you're not paying attention as you're transposing and bringing things down. Many places to run amok. Now we'll look at this and cancel out what appears on both sides. I have 10 electrons on each side, so I can cancel 10 electrons. I have 16 hydrogen ions on the left and 20 hydrogen ions on the right. So I can cancel out 16 of them, leaving me with 4 hydrogens on the right. I have 5 waters on the left and 8 waters on the right, so I can cancel 5 waters, leaving 3. Now I'm going to rewrite this, incorporating all my cancellations. 2 permanganate plus 5 sulfurous acid yields 2 Mn2 plus 3 waters plus 5 sulfates plus 4 hydrogen ions. And at this point, I should have a balanced half reaction. I should have a balanced whole reaction. I've put the two halves together. I should have a balanced reaction. But always go back and check because there's so many places to mess this up. 2 manganese. 2 times 4 is 8 oxygens. 5 times 3 is 15, and 8 is 23. 3 oxygens plus 20, 23. 10 hydrogens. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 5 sulfur, 5 sulfur. We already did oxygen. So now I have a -2. I have a +4. -10 plus 4 is a -2. So I managed to make it through there and not make any mistakes on this one. But you can see how easy it is to make a mistake, I think. Usually I demonstrate that inadvertently without intending to when I'm working these through.